when things are Ecotech certified, they're better for the environment. They're also just better for your skin because you don't have gross chemicals leaching into your skin. Like, okay, anything that is anti-wrinkle, it's covered in formaldehyde.
Oh, God.
I know, right?
Hello, everyone. This is Emily Drake, and you are listening to Who's Missing? Are you missing a fashion designer from your community? I know I was, and now I feel so blessed to know so many here in Chicago and beyond. I've really upped my game with conscious consumerism, and it's been such a blessing. But I got to know Kate while shopping here at a boutique in Chicago, and I've been obsessed with her effortless classic brand, Wulfka, ever since. That's WULF, as in Frank, KA. And I'm not just obsessed because of how the garments look, because they look phenomenal. I get so many compliments, but because of what Kate is all about. She's all about inclusivity. She's also eco-friendly to the core, not just in sort of appearance, but I think you're going to be really convinced after listening to this episode to take a look at your labels more and be more intentional in your purchasing. And she introduced me to the term dopamine dressing. Yes, folks, clothes can make you feel good. Obviously not just on your skin, but about who you are. You know, it represents your identity and your values. So I empower you to listen and learn, and then check out Kate on Instagram at Wulfka and her website, wulfka.com. You will not be disappointed. Enjoy. I feel like mango is one of those fruits that like you really have to work hard for, you know?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And so when I can get it and it's like peeled and served up to me, I'm like, I feel like Cleopatra. I feel like a queen. I was reading a little bit about your inspiration for the spring collection.
Oh, yes.
Which, by the way, I've picked out at least 2 pieces that I'll be getting. And, you know, it occurred to me that your enthusiasm and passion seems to be subject agnostic. Like you're very excited about fashion, but you're built as an enthusiastic person. Would you say that?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Yes. So how do you balance the excitement and the sort of energy output that you have capable within you with like, all right, I got to pick a few pieces for this collection, or I got to pick a theme. I mean, I got to make a decision, right? It doesn't mean you're indecisive, but how do you reconcile those two things? How do they work together?
Oh, I just picked up a book on the history of pattern making,
Cool.
And it's talking about this crazy like cloak thing from like the 1800s, and I'm like, I can't make that. No one's gonna buy this, but I'm gonna sketch it, and I'm gonna sketch 10 different versions of it because that is something I want to explore, even if I don't have the time to make it or the audience that's gonna buy it. But you know, it's fun and it piques my interest. So I guess through sketching. And I do listen, you know, all the times that I spend sewing, I just listen to audiobooks that entire time.
Oh.
And I've been nailed. Apparently my favorite genre is micro histories. I'm like, that is 100% like, yes, as I bought The History of the Pocket and, you know, whatever. So yeah, I get to explore and satiate my curiosity that way.
Yeah.
And then just really getting into exploring natural dyes.
I remember you talking about this. Yes.
Yeah. So last year I foraged for buckthorn on my mom's property up in Wisconsin. I'm like, that was fun. So this year I'm going to plant a bunch of marigolds in my yard, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet, but you know, maybe I'll make some special sweaters next year, or, you know, I don't know, like, why not? Why not read all about the, you know, million plants that I can do something with?
Yeah. So all of those things feel kind of like within, I mean, maybe a slight stretch outside of the fashion like lane to bring it then back to fashion. Do you stretch even further to sort of, you know, think about like food, science, I know you took your spring collection, a lot of inspiration from poetry and the romantic era, which of course has definitive fashion, but is also just like a time period. So do you stretch outside of not the obvious things, but maybe more austere things, weird things?
Yes, definitely.
Is there anything you want to share with us, Kate?
Did I tell you that I'm currently obsessed with Mary Todd Lincoln and like the Victorian, like, are you familiar with this Victorian seance like craze that went through?
No.
Okay.
No.
What did they call, like, mysticism? It was a whole thing to like, you would hire a medium and they would come over and either they would have visions or they would like spirit write or they would communicate, or the spirits would communicate through knocks.
Okay. Yes.
And it was just like this bizarre thing. But what was also happening at the time was obviously the Civil War was happening. All of these young people were dying. It really felt like an end time. You know what I mean? And they had all these new technologies coming through. Like electricity was brand new and telephones were new.
Yeah.
So it didn't seem like a far stretch to like, maybe we are getting closer to the spirit world and they could communicate. It seemed like there was a portal coming. And I don't know, I just really, this thing that I thought was going to be funny, like I'm now really, really sympathizing for these people in this time period.
Yeah. So tell us about the spring collection and what it means to you in the legacy of Wulfka. How does it fit in? What's new about it? Yeah.
I was really inspired by these female romantic poets.
Yeah.
Who would just, they would take 40 stanzas to describe the sunrise, just the most mundane, like silly things. And I think after you read it and you try to live in that space, you really start to enjoy the sunrise again, So I really wanted people to experience the garments that way. I tried to pick fabrics that were just very tactile, as opposed to, this fast fashion landscape that we're in, where it's practically disposable. Like, I really want people to cherish my pieces because I do. I love making them. And I want someone else to love them too.
There's a couple things that are true. One is they are incredibly comfortable, but beautifully made. And also just like people remark on how soft they are and like how, right, when they're touched, both on my skin and by other people, it's like, what are you wearing? Right. And I love when you're talking about the sunrise, and really like there's a couple different ways of looking at life. It's like nothing matters, right? The nihilist way. It's like, so, or everything matters. And I feel like you're an everything matters kind of person.
Absolutely.
As it relates this collection to previous ones, how does it fit into the narrative? And then how is it different for you? Or maybe what was a stretch?
It's not so different from the other lines, except that I did increase my size range. So I am going up to 4XL. And that's a whole new adventure for me. I did just do the one of a kind show. So I did get it in front of some people and got some great feedback.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a huge learning curve, but I'm just so excited to be able to share this with more people.
To me, it feels like we are shedding so many rules. We're coming back from trauma, right? Like we're emerging from a collective experience. So I see everything getting blown up in the corporate space. People are like, I need a flexible schedule. And if not, peace out. I wonder, it sounds like the expansion of sizes and maybe honoring some of the, the gender identity conversations and diversity conversations has been important to you. Are there other ways that it's stretched you, how society's changing?
Ooh, I think for my customer, they are working from home. They are able to now wear a lot more comfortable clothing during the day. It's not so much power dressing. But I also feel like people are really ready for color.
Yes.
Right? Like, I feel like, especially when I started almost 10 years ago now, everything was like, oh, I like this. Does it come in black? And now people are ready for some bright colors. It's called dopamine dressing.
Ooh.
So we're just ready to get out there, show off. Like, I don't care anymore. I'm not trying to hide. Like, I am here now.
Dopamine. We all want it now.
We all want it.
So really paying attention to color, paying attention to the need that we seem to have, it sounds like, for self-expression. Are you seeing more of that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And self-expression for yourself. I don't see people trying to be sexy. I don't feel people trying to, show off or compete. Like, it really feels like I'm just expressing myself. Like, this is my joy. This is what I feel I need to do right now. And I'm here for it. We love to see it.
Tell me about your relationship with your customers. What do you believe about your customers? What do you experience with them? And how do they inspire you?
My customers have been the most well-informed, the most civically engaged, like, people I've ever met. They just seem to care so much. And it just gives me so much hope that these people exist. And I'm able to have fantastic conversations. They care enough to shop local and to shop sustainable, et cetera, but they also know what's going on in their community, and they have opinions about it, and they want to talk about it. And it's this kind of like civic discourse that I've just been missing in every other part of my life.
When was the seed planted for you? And was it like, I absolutely must do this, or was your path more meandering?
It's much more meandering. Honestly, it was 50-50 between fashion design and nursing school. Before I went into fashion school, I actually practiced massage therapy. And I had my license for about 10 years. But it really taught me about women and about women's bodies. You're not getting models coming in for massages usually. It's middle-aged women who have the disposable income and, talked about their bodies, about their concerns. And I saw what a real body looks like. And I feel like that's really informed my design today.
And it's occurring to me, like, you may not be like actually, hands-on bodies as much, but you're adorning bodies, which is such a powerful thing. So you went to fashion school. Did you know that you would go into business for yourself? Was that the first move?
I had no idea.
Me either.
Right. No, I graduated and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't really know how to find a job. So I just started making dresses and selling them, and it just ballooned from there, honestly. A few shops gave me a chance. Wolfbait and Milk Handmade were my first two accounts. Great. And I'm still selling with them, and they're fantastic. And I'm just like so happy that they're still around, and because they're amazing woman-owned local businesses.
Can you thrive financially as a fashion designer and a creative? Tell us the real deal.
No. 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 All right. Okay, let me walk it back a little bit. I think it's with any new business, you either have to start with a ton of money, or you have to keep your day job for many years until you get the ball rolling so that it can roll on its own.
So what does the composite over the past 10 years, how has the composite changed with how you spend your time and energy? And I think if you can, do you have a time and energy philosophy, like how you decide to spend your time?
Oh, I am awful at time management. But no, now since 2020, my husband also works from home. So we have office hours. It is 10 to 6, and we will take a break in the middle of the day, sometimes have lunch together. But other than that, like, that is the best time management I have. It's just regular hours. And then I get out of my basement studio, and that's it for the day. Now it's time to cook and have some wine on the porch.
So if time management is like maybe something you're working on, what do you feel like you've gotten better at?
I have gotten better at delegating. So now that I do have a little more money, a little more cash flow than when I started, I realize I can't do everything on my own. But yeah, learning how to give away those jobs that I can give away.
It's one of the hardest things I did. was give away jobs, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I'm the best at it.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah,
but are you? And then you do, and you're like, oh, I get it now. What is great about being an entrepreneur, and what is, or maybe what do people get wrong about being an entrepreneur?
Ooh, what do people get wrong about being an entrepreneur? I think some people, think like being in the fashion business is all like, oh, cute dresses. Oh, we get to just play around. Oh, you get to like shoot models. Like, oh, how fun. And it really is all aspects of a business. I do have to worry about inventory, cash flow, and now I'm learning how to use Instagram ads, how to promote myself and, writing the emails, et cetera, et cetera. So it is more than just one thing, especially if you can't afford to have a team.
Yeah. Yet. How is Chicago as a community for you? And do you think of yourself as a Chicago designer, or do you think of yourself as an eco designer? Which community do you identify with?
Oh, interesting. Okay, first of all, Chicago is phenomenal. I absolutely love the community here.
Yeah.
So when I was going to school in New York, I did intern for a designer who showed at New York Fashion Week. And it was all very fancy and impressive and everything. And I just remember everyone was such an asshole. Can I swear on this podcast?
Yes.
Okay,
oh my God.
It's such an asshole. I just remember, like, if someone heard that you were a designer, they wouldn't share anything with you. It was just like a very like opaque community. And now I get here, and any designer, we just talk all the time. Like, oh, who was this model? Could I have her info? Oh, where'd you get this fabric? Like, because it feels like it's not as saturated here. Like there is room for all of us, and the better we all are, the more attention is going to be paid to us as a group.
I love that. That's been my experience too. Just as you said, like you can do anything here. There's a lot of red tape in some areas, but like it's got a really strong entrepreneurial community, Who are you? Are you wearing anything right now or following anyone that you want to give a little shout out to?
Okay. Currently obsessed with, are you familiar with Bergen from Lilla Barn?
No.
Okay. Well, you need to be. But she does, talk about dopamine dressing. Like these are bright colors, just like the happiest prints you can imagine. And just like really easy fitting stuff. And the sewing is impeccable. And also she's a lovely human. I adore her. And then let's see, who else do I want to shout out? Are you familiar with Panopause? She's an artist, but she just does like very bright geometric abstract paintings. And then she has a whole storefront with, accessories and just really fun stuff. It just makes me happy every time I see her and I see her store. Anyway, yes.
Yeah. In the business space, there was a lot of talk about 10 years ago about social responsibility. And it was like this new topic. People were like, what do we care? Now you can't imagine having a business without a corporate social responsibility pledge. And by the way, following through on it. So yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into the eco-friendly market and how it's changed or how it's affected you?
Honestly, I got into it because I think it just makes better clothes. Going away from like polyester and the synthetic fibers, just plant-based fibers, they just feel nicer. They wash more nicely. The fact that they're better for the environment was just icing on the cake, when I first started. And now, now that people care, now I'll start like talking about it. Like, oh, this, plant-based fibers will biodegrade. They're not going to sit in a landfill for 400 years. Like that's important to people. What's important to me is it feels nice. And we can have both. And that's kind of how I got into it. It's when things are Ecotech certified, they're better for the environment. They're also just better for your skin because you don't have gross chemicals leaching into your skin. Like, anything that is anti-wrinkle, it's covered in formaldehyde.
Oh God.
I know, right? And you don't know, because we're not talking about that yet. We're not talking about that part of it yet. We're still talking about how we get the fibers. So people are saying like, organic cotton, it was grown organically. Or if it's, from recycled bottles, we're still just talking about how we get the fibers. We're not talking about how the fibers are processed. We'll get there. We'll get there. So when I say Ecotech certified, spelled OEKO-TEX, it means it is an actual like certification that this doesn't have any toxic substances or chemicals in the dyes or the finishes, is what that means.
So for our listeners who are going to be doing some shopping today, hopefully with Wulfka, but wherever they go, right? What do you want to empower them to ask or think about as they purchase their next piece or their next garment?
I want to encourage people to look at the content label, look at the care and content label. And even if it means nothing to you right now, just kind of start to get familiar with what you're putting on your body and what's in the clothes. And I think you'll start to notice things like if you love wearing a certain garment, look at what it is. If it's cotton, it's because it breathes, it feels nice. Whereas if you had, a sundress made out of, whatever synthetic, it's going to feel like you're wearing a plastic bag. So I think just starting to become aware of what you're wearing and what's in it will really start to open you up to, when you go shopping, being more aware of something besides how it looks.
And not just how it feels on your skin, but I think how it makes you feel about yourself and like what you're about. Does it represent who I am?
Absolutely.
Exactly. Okay, my friend, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, so much fun. Don't you just love Kate? I mean, she's such a talented, bright personality to be around, whether on screen or in person. And I find her laugh completely infectious. Here are my 3 takeaways from our conversation. 1, maintain a student mentality and follow your interests. If you have a sense of curiosity about something, go for it, try it. I loved Kate's palpable interest in so many different topics: microhistories, poetry, natural dyes. 2, you don't have to do everything on your own. As difficult as that may seem, I encourage you to delegate if you can. It was a huge move for me as an entrepreneur, and I hear the same thing for Kate. I encourage you, and it can be incredibly rewarding. And lastly, I could go on, but I'll say it again: conscious consumerism, plant-based fibers. I mean, I didn't know anything about it, but they're not only good for the environment, they wash better and they feel better. So it sounds like a good deal to me. Definitely going to be more intentional about my clothing labels moving forward. So you can find Kate at Wulfka on social and wulfka.com for your next conscious purchase. Kate VanAsten is about to celebrate a decade in business as the owner of Wulfka. And the boutique where we met turned 12 this year. Squashed Boutique, SQUASHT, is an independent, woman-owned, designer-focused clothing and jewelry boutique in Ukrainian Village. They have an awesome online store and a wonderful physical space. If you're ever in the city and you want to get over there, it's beautiful. Owner Leslie Timpey also designs the in-house Squashed brand of clothing, and I can personally testify that it's comfy and unique. She picks the best fabrics if you like patterns, solids, the whole bit. And so whether you're shopping for yourself or for someone you love, you'll find incredible options, and that you can feel good about buying them and supporting local and supporting women at squashedboutique.com or on Instagram at squashed. Happy shopping.